I have love and hate relationship with Team Ninja games, you cheap bastards. I think they do close to best, if not the best, combat systems in the business with good character progression models. However, I also think they are atrocious in everything else. So what do they go and do? Change their best combat system ever, which is Nioh, and copy-paste everything bad about Nioh. They already made combat worse in Stranger of Paradise, so they tried to use that combat style with added parry mechanic when it is clear the game has not been built around the parry but just slapped on top of everything else. Thing is that Team Ninja's worst combat is still miles ahead of most of the game industry. That is how good they are in that aspect. Outside of a few really good new ideas, this game is an asset flip. There is no debate or argument that can be had about it. Mix between Stranger of Paradise and Nioh combat with everything else Nioh, few changes and added parry, that is it. Game is simply not worth the price, I can tell you that immediately. It is a sucker punch in the face to every fan of their games because they know some will buy them anyway, even if they are aware what kind of a cheap game they are playing. On top of it all, they have the fucking nerve to sell Season Pass with DLCs already in this overpriced asset flip. Same boss types. Same maps. Story is literal copy-paste job with different characters. Same enemies with few new additions. Same New Game Plus with same problems. This isn't Wolong, this is Nioh 2.5 and as such it is going to be compared a lot to it in the review. I'm not here to coddle your feelings about games. What you and me enjoy and have fun with in games has no weight whatsoever to how good of a product the game is. For example, I've enjoyed playing Army of Two with a mate, even though the game is a definition of mediocrity. I can only try to offer most objective analysis and say what works, what doesn't work, why, and give a score predominantly based on objective analysis and less about what I like or not. This is hard to do with games such as Wolong and Nioh because they have many core systems that don't work well together, with that problem being much more present in Wolong than in Nioh. At first I really liked Wolong and its new mechanics. Game seemed an improvement over other Team Ninja games in a lot of aspects, even with outdated and at this point subpar graphical engine. I couldn't believe that I'm having fun again in a game that was made by Team Ninja. Then as I played more and more and eventually started experiencing New Game Plus, harsh reality of what is being actually played started to kick in. Remember gray sets from Nioh? They are here again. Unlocking new missions in New Game Plus by having to complete previous chapters? Here. Stupid amount of contradictory and pointless special effects just so it pisses you off more when they drop on accessories where it can't be changed? Here. Same cheap difficulty? Here. Do I need to go more? Game is far from difficult because the only difficulty comes from cheapness and unpolished combat. Unbalanced to all hell. One boss is going to be a pain in the ass with giant health bar while another one will be destroyed in 20 seconds. They are not even attempting to create meaningful difficulty anymore. Cheap deaths occur constantly and it has little to do with skill, so self-proclaimed great and skillful players can go and preach your greatness to people that might be impressed because they don't know what they are playing. In first playthrough, thankfully this happens less than in New Game Plus, which is why first playthrough in Wolong is always gonna be the best, because you're playing the game and not worrying about drops, sets, accessories and whatnot. Builds start coming into focus later on, usually during New Game Plus. Same thing with Nioh. I loved first playthrough of Nioh, but every subsequent one felt worse and worse. Why? Because mostly everything that felt great in first playthrough took a step back to goddamn repetitive content and RNG. Thinking about builds and creative stuff is fun, but process to get to the point of having necessary gear in Wolong is painfully boring. Drop rates are abysmal and you might have to play through the fucking thing 3 times to complete a single grey set, with combat becoming more and more boring along the way. Reason? Over time parry becomes dull and annoying cheap difficulty, with weapons being a significant downgrade from Nioh. Some weapons like hammers feel plastic. Mind you, weapons are alright, but a downgrade nonetheless. No more special moves tree that made every weapon feel incredibly unique, no matter how useless most of the moves were, which is more due to poor difficulty design than actual moves themselves. Talking about difficulty, I think I figured out why Team Ninja is incapable of producing anything meaningful and rewarding in their games. It's because of poor AI design. Boss attack patterns and mechanics are quite good, but due to AI they simply spam things in way too aggressive manner, leaving player on the defensive most of the time, with one mistake usually costing at least 50% health. Light armor, for example, in New Game Plus is almost useless, and the only way not to die from boss's fart is to stack defensive magic, but then these spells take up couple of only 4 available spell slots that could be used for better things. Combat is fun for the most part, but flawed. Cheap difficulty makes it more annoying than it has to be, but overall I had fun battling enemies due to fantastic animations, some good mechanics and that crazy cool combat moments in Team Ninja games. I love the new spirit system and think it fixes some of the stuff many games couldn't figure out how to accomplish. Basically normal attacks and parries raise spirit into high zone, and using magic block spirit attacks makes it go into low zone, and if enemy hits you while at the lowest spirit, guard breaks and you're staggered. What the spirit system accomplishes is it removes magic use limits and forces player to use all the tools and mechanics. I really like that. Unfortunately, there aren't many mechanics due to heavy focus on parries, which is why it becomes a bit dull after some time due to most fights playing out the same way. Lack of attack cancel in such an aggressive and fast game is a crime against gamers. Enemies often cancel their recovery animation while being interrupted by your attacks and go right into critical blows, with player often being stuck mid-animation without any cancel possibility. That is why defensive play is much better, because if you try to go into offense mode, most likely enemies are going to punish you through cheapness and cheating. This is one of the reasons I have said that parry mechanic has been slapped onto all the previous stuff while not actually building the game around it to use the parry system better. By the way, parry and critical blows mechanic is essentially copy-paste of Nioh's counter burst of powerful enemy charged attacks. Oh, and the joys of fighting multiple enemies are something that is going to make you want to break a face of the closest living being. Annoyingly placed ranged enemies that throw fire pots and shoot from afar. Too many visual effects at once filling up the screen that mask attack animations. And critical blows or attacks outside of camera, which makes parry simply a matter of luck at times. Now let's talk about the new morality system. It is a double-edged sword. On one hand, during first playthrough I loved it for a simple reason of making us play the game and not skip stuff and making exploration rewarding. Each rank increases attack power and reduces damage received. Going against the boss with low morale is surefire way to burn your house down due to frustration and courtesy of one-hit kills. If player dies, then morality rank goes down to fortitude rank, which depends on how many flags have been found. It also removes gear levels, which is a plus in my book. Really great idea, but unfortunately it becomes detrimental in New Game Plus and onward, because every playthrough besides the first one revolves around grinding and builds, so morality just slows everything down. It also doesn't work very well with builds, as morality can cancel build effectiveness next to slowing down the grind, so you are still stuck with the system whether you liked it or not. Basically, in New Game Plus it comes down to replaying same boss-focused side missions over and over again in hope for a lucky drop to avoid having to go through whole levels. Same dumb, repetitive, shallow and boring design like in Nioh. They wanted to make people stop skipping content, which is good, but instead they made them replay same side missions over and over and over again. So players are now skipping whole missions, not just parts of it. Do you understand now when I said that their core systems don't work well together, no matter how creative and great they might seem at first? Builds are very similar to Nioh in terms of special effects on gear, divine beasts, attributes and weapons. Weapons come with fixed stat scaling, which limits weapon and build combinations. Weapon special moves are of course random and can't be changed, so there is another grind. 5 phases, attributes and bonuses directly affect the spirit gauge more so than anything else, and I quite like how it all works. Feels meaningfully different and makes a lot of sense. Armor set bonuses are okay but nothing special. They have reduced sets bloat, but again, what is the point of having armor sets next to bunch of armor that isn't part of any set in the same game? Either one or the other, makes no sense this way. At Blacksmith we can choose whichever special effect we want to replace the old one with. I like that a lot, but special effects again suck. Bonuses are not good enough and there are many versions of the same thing again with bunch of useless ones. For example, there is damage done, melee attack power, spirit attack power, fatal strike damage, elemental damage next to every specific element damage increase, wizardry spell damage, damage done in desperate condition, damage done in perfect condition, martial arts damage and few more. On top of that, there is spirit damage version of all the ones above. Whole special effect system was always poorly designed due to too much unnecessary bloat and with lack of proper explanation. In Wo Long there isn't even a training dummy where we can test the builds. Or at least I haven't found one. If I had a say, I would remove the whole special effects system from Wo Long, as it hurts the game more than benefits because of morality system already in effect. To not make this review 1 hour long, let's go quickly through some other stuff. As I said, story is copy-paste of Nioh's. Same flashbacks after defeating bosses to tell their superficial stories. Characters are badly done with no charisma or proper screen time whatsoever. Again, clan fight based story with again some new cunt in the middle manipulating clans to get their hands on all the key, cheese, spirit, elixirs, lollipops or whatever. Story has no significance except for Lu Bu's story, which was given some screen time and actual something put into it near the end. Character creator is amazing, almost everything can be changed. Can't think of anything I would add into the character creator to improve it. Music is amazing, masterpiece of a soundtrack. Visual effects are great, but sometimes there are too many on the screen at once, which can affect the outcome of a fight. Sound effects are great too. A lot of maps are copy-pasted from Nioh with minor changes, and it is still same linear maze-like structure that I never liked, as it felt overly convoluted in some maps. Maps seem like they would benefit from being semi-open more than having a linear structure the way they are designed. Very frustrating at times trying to find only path which leads further. People have said PvP is quite good, but I don't play multiplayer in any game, so wouldn't know. Performance on PC was atrocious, same like Wild Hearts that use the same engine. Many issues all over the place that made the game almost unplayable at times, but latest patch fixed issues that I had. Don't know if all the issues that others had are fixed as well. Sound off in comments about that. Oh, and ranged weapon ammo doesn't automatically replenish after each mission or death, so we have to go to Blacksmith and access storehouse manually to fill up on ammo. Ridiculous. Stealth is also bad and can be cheesed too easily. Wo Long is very difficult game to score, and this is only from single player perspective. There are many core aspects that are a great idea, like morality system and spirit gauge, but as much as it improves the game at times, it also brings it down at other times. On one hand, we have blatant asset flip with scummy DLC policy and bad designs all across the place, and on another hand, it can be really fun to play, especially during first playthrough. Seems like Team Ninja is trying to be in perfect balance of good and bad, therefore I will respect that and give the game a 5 out of 10, which translates to average game. Overall, I think it deserves 6, but considering all the copy-paste things, it should be scored even lower than 5, so 5 it is. Potential goes to 6 upon balancing things better, improving drop rates and fixing a lot of things. Anyway, thanks for watching. Rise of Ronin is last Team Ninja game I'm gonna play in my life just to see which amazing ideas are they gonna have there and then screw them up somehow. Nioh, Wo Long or anything similar coming from Team Ninja, I bid you farewell. As much as you made me happy and blew my mind with the first game, lack of improvements, bringing back and doubling down on low quality aspects and cheap difficulty are enough for one lifetime for this bastard.